In this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate your quarter grade for any marking period of school using the category weights depending on each class. And then we're going to go through a few scenarios to cover all the what-if questions you will probably be asking as the quarter goes on about how can I raise my grade at the end of the quarter, how can I raise my grade while the quarter is going on. So first, to calculate the quarter grade, each weight of the category is a percent. So 20 as a percent is 0.2. And 10% for homework is 0.1. And 70% for summative is 0.7. Depending on the class, these weights might be different. This is an image you would get from Edline. So you should look in Edline to see the weights of the categories and your points in each category. Because the way that the class grade, the whole quarter grade is calculated, is by taking the percent of the category times that category's average. So, for example, this would be 0.2 times 71.3, because the formative average for this student is 71.3. The homework average and the summative average. Multiply and each of these values, and when you add them together, you get this quarter grade. Now, for each assessment or homework, you're competing with yourself in each category. So if you have a summative coming up, this student would need to earn higher than an 86.9% on that summative to raise their quarter grade. If they earn lower than an 86.9, they'll lower their quarter grade. On the next formative, this student needs to earn higher than a 71.3 to bring the overall grade up. So each assessment or each homework assignment, you are competing with yourself in that category to get higher than that category's percent or that category's average. So using the same grades, let's say this student has a quiz coming up and they want to know how can they raise their grade. In Honors Algebra 2, the quizzes are always 20 points, and tests, which are the summative category, are always 50 points. Homeworks are 5 points each, and exit tickets, which are usually counted in the formative category, are 10 points. So this student, let's say, has a quiz this week. So that quiz is going to be out of 20 points, and they want to know, okay, if I get 100 on the quiz, what will that make my quarter grade? Well, here's how we're going to calculate it. 100 on the quiz would be a 20 out of 20. That's going to change the formative category points. If they get a 20 out of 20, the new formative category, it was 80 points. Now we're going to add 20 points to the total possible points in that category. The student had 57 points, and they're saying, well, I'm going to earn 20 more. So now their category is going to be a 77 out of 100. Well, if you calculate that as a percent, that's 77%. So to find their quarter grade, the student will do 0.2 times the new category average plus 0.1 times the homework category average plus 0.7 times the test average. Okay, so I have my calculator out, and now let's see what that would be. So the student's overall grade would now be a 83.45% for the quarter. The higher the category weight, the more effect it will have on your grade. So let's look at the same student, and let's say they have a test coming up. So for the next test, tests are 50 points. So let's say the student says, I'm going to get maybe not 100. Let's say I'm going to go for a 48 out of 50 on the next test. So that means the new category, the total points is going to go increase by 50. The earned points is going to increase by 48. So if we add those up, the new category average will be able to be found by dividing these two numbers. And that is now an 89.1%. So, taking 0.2 times the quiz average, or the formative average, 0.1 times the homework, and now 0.7 times the new summative category. The student's overall grade would be an 83.85%. Okay, we can look at, now this is a different student's breakdown, and we see that their formative percent is a B, their homework is a D, and their summative is a C. Now let's say this student's saying, well, what if I had done all of my homework? What would my grade have been? So that means this would be 100%. So we'll do 0.2 times 81.3 plus 0.1 times 100 plus 0.7 times 75.3. And if the student had done all their homework, their grade would be a 78.97, much closer to a B. Well, then let's say, oh, I have a test coming up. So still assuming I have 100 in my homework, and I get a B on the next test or an A on the next test, we can change our summative category and whatever that student's going to earn, and you can play the what if game by plugging other numbers in. Well, what if I get an A? It's a 45 out of 50. What if I get 100? 50 out of 50. And plug them in and keep calculating what your grade would be.